This is MechWarrior 5 Clans. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So this is I want to say spin-off and or kind of a intermediate game coming off of MechWarrior 5, which released, I think it was back in 2019, and then it came to consoles a little bit later on. And now we've got, obviously it's called MechWarrior 5, but it's got the subtitle of Clans with a new, I guess you would say, original story, setup, and scenario, but building off of the mechanics that were present with the, well, mainline fifth entry in the pretty long-running mech franchise. So they've kind of changed things up a little bit here. This is supposed to be a little bit more of an accessible entry in the MechWarrior franchise, so believe it or not, it's actually something that is a lot quicker paced and a lot easier to play gameplay-wise, but still kind of grueling and difficult, as you might expect if you've played the MechWarrior games. So in it, you're this new kind of freshly training squad, part of Smoke Jaguar, and you're basically prompted to go and start an attack upon the inner planetary systems. There's a lot of background lore and stuff like that I was just like, oh, okay. Like, if you're not familiar with things, they'll just be saying all these words, and you'll be sitting there being like, oh, alright, let's go and mess up those interplanetary systems and stuff. Alright, let's do it. I'm all about this plan. And yeah, so there's like cinematics, a little uncanny valley in terms of the visuals there, but not too bad, and you know, lots of different characters and dynamics going on. And anyways, your mission, or your like overall campaign mission, start with this visit to deal with like pirates to gain a foothold in the system. Before that, a little bit, you start out kind of learning who your crew is, and your crew, they talk to each other the whole time. And that's kind of just like the premise setup. So it's something you can play like alone and command your squad in order to do things. And you have like a quick radial meal on how to, you know, command them. You can command each of the different options. And you have like form on me. And yeah, you can also play online, I guess, up to 5 players cooperatively, which is kind of cool. And you can play, well, basically with this sort of, I guess you would say, like, third-person mode. You can zoom in. There is also, like, tactical up map that you can use if you want to have a commanding look at the battlefield. And you can also go into the first person if you want to feel like you're actually, like, you know, in the mech suit, as to say. So that's kind of neat. What are we getting here? It is, as per usual, a dynamic 4K, but it's looking a lot more dynamic. Like, some of the scenes are really quite fuzzy. Like, this planet seems to fare pretty well, but when you do like the training mission, like the first mission, where it's a lot more of like a leafy green kind of planet with like water and stuff like that, definitely a lot more of a drastic lower resolution threshold. It is targeting 60 FPS, but there are definitely quite a lot of frame drops while you're playing, especially during combat. I've also noticed the odd stutter, and I think you might have noticed that a moment ago. I don't know if it's specifically a stutter, but like it literally will pause gameplay-wise while you're doing stuff. Like, it'll just kind of like randomly pause for a second. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but it is something that was kind of noticeable to me, where I'm like, oh wow, literally it's just stopping for a second. I was like, okay, that's a bit strange. So that's kind of the technical elements of this one. And I guess Unreal Engine, so again, it's going to be like temporarily scaling with a AI upscaling solution. A good old FSR, you can kind of tell from like the water shimmer, but yeah. So, like, it's pretty, like, good looking, I think, and, you know, it's not bad, and it's definitely, like, if you've played MechWarrior 5, this one, to me, is basically in that same family of game-like structuring in terms of kind of being a big, strong presence, seeing destruction on the mechs, the mechanics of the mechs, walking through structures and seeing them kind of like get shredded and stuff. That's all really cool. And I should really be helping out my squad because they die pretty fast. The AI in this is not great, but it is cool. Like talking about the themes of like destruction, you can clearly see like when I'm fighting enemies, how the enemy mechs kind of crumble, how your mech crumbles. That in itself can be a little annoying too, because like there's missions I've been doing where like my arm gets blasted off, and then like, you know, without my robot arm shooting lasers, I kind of don't have anything, or both arms get shot, and or your structure gets like damaged and you can't do much, and yeah, it's a little annoying. And then you've got to put in, I guess you would say, like repair stuff into your mechs every round. So basically, there's like a whole mechanics bay type thing where it's like, all right, so you need to improve your mechs using technicians to fix them, otherwise you'll start the mission a little damaged, like I kind of did. Then you gotta like upgrade your crew, then you gotta upgrade your mech types, and then there's different like affinities you can pick for your different squad mates, and different mechs you can pick for your squad mates. And then there's lots of customization for your mechs, which is really cool. And yeah, gameplay-wise, it is, like, honestly, like, this is, to me, faster than MechWarrior 5 was, but it's still quite a cumbersome experience just in terms of, like, movement and stuff, and also, again, like, performance and that. It's, it really does kind of go all over the place in frame rate at times, which isn't ideal, but it's kind of a neat game, like gameplay wise. Like if you're usually playing the MechWarrior games, I think you'll find this one to be an interesting expansion of, say, the lore and the narrative of the clans kind of preparing to battle the interplanetary kind of systems and all that, and there's like a deep structuring for how they run their military operations. So that's what I was saying, is it's like it's a lot to get a hold of if you're like new to the series, and it's just like they just say a lot of like basically like buzzwords to like a casual listener. You'll probably be looking at like the cutscenes and being like, what are they talking about? Even the dialogue between your pilots during missions is kind of just like, some of it's a little nonsensical, but there is a deep structuring and lore to the MechWarrior stuff, and yeah, that's the whole thing. So it is like a campaign that you're working through, in case you're wondering. It is a structured setup. It would have been maybe cool to have some supplementary type mode type things, but I don't know. If you're looking for a more technical mech game, this is kind of your thing. I was actually sitting there thinking, we don't have too many mech franchises left these days, right? Like, there really aren't. Yeah. There really aren't too many options out there, if that makes sense. Like, Titanfall's gone because Apex superseded it. Mech Assault is gone. Armored Core is more just like Dark Souls. This is a very technical mech game. It almost makes you wonder if mech stuff isn't that popular. I was sitting there last night streaming this at the time of recording this, and I was just sitting there kind of wondering, is like, maybe people don't really like mechs that much, which is kind of a shame because mechs are really cool. Even this, where I find a lot of it kind of annoying at times, it's still like a pretty cool experience. And yeah, so anyways, to talk about that, I would maybe recommend playing this on an easier difficulty. What are my teammates doing? They are so incredibly useless. Like you're standing, like I am getting just like peppered, and you're just chillaxing. You're just chillaxing. You know, like honestly, the teammates, sometimes the AI, it's like, oh, okay, we're trying not to go into this area in order to sound these alarms. They just walk right through into it, and I'm like, are you serious? Like it's just like it could be a little annoying, the AI, let's put it that way, where they die really easily sometimes not, and but But no, it is really quite technical. Like, you can overheat. If you go into water, it helps cool your systems. Every little part of your mech can kind of get, like, busted and broken and kind of damaged, and it can be all, like, painted and adjusted and all pipped out and stuff like that, which is cool. But yeah, no, I definitely do get how this might not be for everyone, because it is a little slower, a little bit more cumbersome. Kind of like Pacific Rim 1, I would say, where you're not the exact same style of mech, but that sort of slower, more cumbersome, more specific, like big weighted, hardcore destruction machines. Oh, and there's also cross-platform co-op. I guess I should have mentioned that, but, you know, with it being online co-op, I kind of guess that was the assumption. I suppose it's also the first clan-based MechWarrior game in like 3 decades, so that's exciting. Different dynamics between the characters, lots of tactical options. But yeah, getting back to it, like, difficulty-wise, I would... Like, I'm playing, like, normal here, and I'm struggling a bit. But I would recommend, if you are playing this game and you're like new to MechWarrior, to take the easy approach for difficulty unless you're like really gonna get into it, because I do think it is actually something that is a little overtly challenging at times. There's times where I was like resetting missions and spending like half an hour like just redoing the same thing and getting annoyed, as to say, because like normal usually for me in a game is like regular difficulty set, you move through it at a casual pacing, you know, a little bit of challenge here or there, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that was a little frustrating. At least the missions, good variety. Oh, I want to knock this down. Yes. They do give you a good variety of the setups. There are like little, you know, I guess you would say change-ups, like some missions you're destroying stuff, some missions you're capturing areas. There's a whole like scanning system, so you can scan for like component parts and scan for like, you know, maybe an ammo crate or something like that. That's another thing. It would be great to have. I guess you would say, oh, there we go, my arm got shot off. It'd be really great to have more ammo caches, or even like some limb replacement caches occasionally would be cool. Like, I guess a big part of it really is you've got to spend more time upgrading, improving, maintaining your kind of mechs and your pilots and stuff like that, and that in itself can be a bit of a, I guess you would say, like daunting or long-term task, as it wants you to actually have that element of improving your mech options, getting something a little deadlier so that you can actually, you know, I guess you would say, take out those opposing forces. I feel very targeted right now. I feel very targeted. There's 5 of us here, and very specifically, all of the other enemies in this area are just attacking very, very specifically my mech. I've got no limbs. Well, I mean, I've got no arms. Well, let me just slap my head into them. It is funny though, like you run out of ammo with your like rockets, and then you can just like slap the enemy with your hands. It's kind of funny. But yeah, it's kind of neat. Like, I know we're expecting something maybe a little bit more like polished for like performance these days on things, but it honestly isn't. You know, this is where you adjust your weapon groups. It honestly isn't too bad. Like overall, it works pretty effectively. You know, gets the job done, and offers a lot of dynamic ways to do mech-based combat. It's just kind of like, I don't know. Roll decay, override. It just can be a little annoying to play because yeah, I just want to go through missions and I don't want all the intense tactical stuff, but you know, you really don't get those options. But it has a lot of cool stuff too, and yeah, I don't know. It's definitely interesting, like gameplay wise. I think it offers quite a lot to enjoy. Really, did I just take control? Okay, so I've got a mech here that has no ammo or anything like that. Great, okay, it's dead as I edit my groups. And that's the thing, is like, mission failed. So now I have to restart and redo, you know, the entire mission. And it's just like, it's just annoying. And then it's like, if you quit, then you have to re-go and do through the menus. And you see like the frustration of it, where it's just kind of like, almost maddening. And it's always like at the end of levels too. Oh, so I immediately have to jump right back into this. I can't just escape back into the beginning of the mission thing. Okay, wow, yeah, no, I'm literally stuck doing this. Alright, that's awesome. Do it till you die. Usually there's like an option to go back to your menu thing, but no, I guess we're just literally stuck here in this gameplay. See, like, I want to like it more than I do, which is kind of funny, because it really is. It's just kind of some of the levels and stuff. It's just kind of really annoying. Oh, I should have also mentioned a lot earlier that you can adjust the FOV of stuff. Yeah, you can adjust the FOV for like the cockpit field of view and the third person field of view. And yeah, no, I definitely thought that was worth mentioning too. Totally forgot about it, because I know people are really big into the FOV options and stuff like that in these games, so you have the choices, which are exciting if you're into that. But yeah, I don't know, it's like, for something that is supposed to be a bit more accessible franchise-wise, it still has, to me, levels of frustration where I find that it's going to be hard for some to fully get into it because of elements like that. But I think, I don't know, it's nice that there's mech games that exist. I think it's a neat franchise overall. I think it's got some cool stuff. I just, yeah, I wish it wasn't so dauntingly difficult. Like, it looks cool too, you know, when you get the combat going, you're doing aerial battles, fire's going off, people are shooting things, mechs are exploding. It's chaotic, it's exciting, it's cool and it's flashy, but you know, there is a lot of it too where I'm just like, wow, this is driving me crazy. Wow, why is it like this? And you know, you can kind of get my perspective on that. But they definitely seem to be going for like a really hyped up kind of campaign thing. A little too kind of pressured though, to some degree. If that makes sense. Like, it's kind of funny because, like, one of the earlier story bits, they introduced this guy, and I'm just like, this guy's totally just... You never know, like, when some, like, narrative introduces someone, and, like, they just give them a big focus just to raise the stakes, and then you can kind of guess what happens right away, and I was like, wow, man. A lot of, like, really, like, predictable little story beats, and they're almost a little too hardcore and serious about it, which is funny, but... I guess they are trying to provide a serious atmosphere and narrative to this game, and they do kind of do that, right? They're really specific about the honor of their clan and their heritage and their focus and stuff, and that in itself is kind of cool. So I think you could definitely appreciate that they are trying to really, you know, keep this up to like a high standard and stuff, and I think like company-wise of that, it is a decently impressive offering. I do think to some degree it's a little harder for some to fully get into this due to how it is, but no, it's a lot of fun. I think you can have a good amount of time with it if you do the right difficulty and if you can get into all the technical stuff of it. But there is, as I said with that, oh, I lost my right arm, so I'm practically useless again. Right on. There is an element of where it's, I can definitely see where a lot of people will get very frustrated and annoyed by the gameplay, like myself here, where it is kind of like you're repeating certain levels over and over again, and that gets incredibly frustrating, annoying, and makes it a lot less fun to play. Just because it is basically, I guess I should like restart the level here, because there's no way we're gonna be able to finish this level because I, you know, lost that robot limb right away, and it's just, for some of us, that is not a fun way to play a game, is being constantly annoyed, especially when you're on normal, and it's like, I'm not doing anything too crazy to justify this level of destruction I'm facing, but You know, it ain't easy or easy at all, or easy in the slightest to be a mech warrior. You know, that's the risk you take to be the best, or something like that. You know what I'm